All right. Thank you so much for everyone who's tuning in. I appreciate you. I'm feeling in a great mood because the fog is rolling in San Francisco. I've had a little bit of coffee, and I get to talk to one of my favorite people in the whole universe, Senator Cory Booker.
Man, why coffee? Like, I thought you were going to say wine or.
I did a why because yesterday I interviewed Stacey Abrams and I had rosé and I got kind of yelled at a little bit for it.
Really?
Her team was like, stop drinking rosé. It's don't drink any more rosé. I'm like, okay,
Well,
fine.
let me let you in. Like, I have to stop drinking coffee, sleeping after a certain time in my day.
What
So
time is that?
I try to stop by noon, but that's often hard.
That's really early.
It is because I'm just like, this COVID crisis has made me turn deeply into trying to set my circadian rhythm and all of that. So I'm sleeping through the night, getting up and going. And so I'm just trying to reduce caffeine in enough time before I hit the sack.
What time are you waking up in the morning these days?
That's my problem is I wake up often before I have to, like 3:30, 4 o'clock
What?
in the morning.
No.
Yeah, no.
That's not your dream's been weird.
I have been having a rich dream life.
Me too.
Yes.
What is that about?
Do you
think it's just us, or do you think everyone's dealing with that?
I don't know. I'm welcoming it. I think it's because I jump around time zones a lot normally in my life. This is the first time I've been able to just like get into a regimented routine, discipline, but I find that liberating. And so my spiritual life, I'm meditating, I'm sleeping more in terms of just like more like a set. I need to get like 7 hours is my magic.
That's good.
And my dream life comes alive.
Can folks who have tuned in, can you raise your hand if you're also having weird dreams, like really intense dreams? I want to see who else is feeling this way. We have a lot of, so if you're having like really intense dreams right now where you can just feel it, just raise your hand. Whoa, a lot of people, at least half the people who are on this call. Great. So it's
Have you ever had like prophetic dreams or?
Are you asking me if I've had prophetic dreams?
Yeah, I've had some very weird, hard to explain dreams.
Recently or in your lifetime?
In my lifetime.
Oh, yes, definitely in my lifetime.
Well, give me one. Let's get spiritual here. Give me one, I'll give you one. You give me one, I'll give you one.
So prophetic, I can only think of one recently, which was, okay, I'll try to abridge this story. I'll make it short. 2 weeks ago, my ex-boyfriend came into my dream and we reconnected at a party on this rooftop. And I hadn't thought of him for 6 months. 2 days later, I decided to just schedule a catch-up call with him, and we caught up. It was really nice. We had a conversation. He told me about his girlfriend, which was a whole thing. So we talked about his girlfriend. It's going well. And I didn't think much of it. It was nice. And then an hour later, I get a FaceTime audio call from an unknown number. So weird. Didn't know what it was about. Then I get the same call. I pick it up and I hear some kids chatting and chirping. And then all of a sudden a woman gets on the phone. She goes, Manny? And I'm like, hello? He goes, this is Jill. I'm like, Jill? Jill who? She goes, Rob's sister. It was my ex-boyfriend's sister. And I said, did Rob just tell you we were talking? She said, no. And so weirdly, even though I had not talked to my ex-boyfriend for 6 months, an hour after we talked, his sister's children picked up her phone and pressed just the right numbers to call me twice.
Wow.
I don't know what it means.
I think that I just really believe, like, what did Shakespeare say? There's more than in heaven and earth than is dreamed of in your philosophies. I just think that there are, I'm just a man of faith. I just think there's a lot more to this universe than we know.
Me too.
So here's mine. I said we would share.
Yeah, please.
So it was the night before the presidential election last time. And I'm in bed, and somebody who's dead comes to me in my dream, a guy named Carl Sharif, my greatest of all mentors, political mentors, just how to, if without him, I wouldn't be sitting where I am right now. I wouldn't have won in Newark. And he comes to me and he's just like foreboding. And he's just like, look, this is going to be like Newark all over again. And remember, I ran for mayor, lost, devastating loss. It became an Oscar-nominated movie, actually, Street Fight. And I woke up, and that was when I first knew we were in trouble. Like
Wow.
I just thought at that point that, and so I was supposed to go over to Brooklyn for the whole party at Hillary's, but I just canceled everything. I just stayed on my couch right over there, invited my significant over, and I just knew the whole day. I was just like, oh my
This,
God.
this was the night before the election, so you had
Yeah,
that.
the night before. Yeah, the
Oh
night before
wow.
the election.
I
Yeah, it
had
was.
the total opposite experience for the election. I was in Lisbon the next day I had to moderate a huge panel in front of like 10,000
Why does it
people.
make sense to me that you were in Lisbon?
I don't know. I was.
I don't know. I just like you're one day we need to switch lives.
I don't think so. I don't think you want my home life here in San Francisco. I don't want your life either. Your life sounds hard. How is it being senator of New Jersey right now?
Well, right now it's the leadership test of our time for everybody, and I mean that everybody, no matter who you are, if you're listening to this, we're all being tested.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's hard, but you get up every day to do the best you can. One of my favorite stories I've been telling people is it was Hurricane Sandy, which was the last big leadership test I had. I was mayor of the largest city in New Jersey, and hell was coming in. The storm was coming in. What ended up knocking out power for a week. People died, lost homes in our city. And I had a command center, which I was basically living in, but I would go out in my command vehicle when the storm was coming in just to survey what was going on. And I'm driving.
You're so butch, Senator.
Is that very butch?
Very butch, yes.
Okay.
In your command vehicle, yes.
Yeah, it's my command vehicle.
So you're in your command vehicle.
No, you got to put a little more bass in your voice when you say it.
I'm
I was in my command vehicle.
I can't do it. All right, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm in my command vehicle, and we're going along, rain, wind blowing, and I get a phone call. And you've probably I don't know if you've gotten this call. It's really the call that starts with the dumbest question ever, which is the operator says, hello, it's a White House operator. Would you hold for the President of the United States? Mm-hmm. And I used to always wonder, like, who says no? I'm sorry, I won't. I'm busy. Right. So next thing you know, Barack Obama is talking to me, and it was this beautiful moment where he knows what's hitting the state of New Jersey, New York, calling to check in on me, which is two guys checking in. As soon as I hang up with him, almost as if they planned it, but they didn't. My cell phone rings again. I answer the phone, and it's Chris Christie, the governor of the state, and he and I, again, this crisis sears away partisanship.
Yeah,
shows the illusion of these lines that divide us, and
yeah,
just connect. We're both seeing this hell come to our state.
Yeah.
So as soon as I hang up with him, I'm ascending on a hill in the West Ward, and these telephone poles had come down, live wires, and there in the rain and the wind is this guy in a slicker who is with a floodlight, like waving it frantically, stop cars or move cars away from the line. And I stop and I roll in the window. I'm the mayor. I'm upset. I said, sir, what are you doing out there? It's an elderly man. And he looks at me almost like, why are you asking me this question? He goes, there's live power lines down, and I'm going to stand here to make sure none of my neighbors or people run over it.
Wow.
And I'm thinking to myself at that moment, I just talked to the President of the United States, governor, I'm the mayor of the largest city, but the most impressive person I've seen talked to in the last, 20, 30 minutes was this elderly man standing strong in a storm, trying to look out for the people around him. And so, to me, that's the test right now. How much are your circles of empathy and compassion? How much are you willing to stand in this storm for others? Because that's the greatest of all human spirit. That's the greatest of all human values. And so I'm seeing this now, by the way. My job is hard. Imagine somebody who is my cousin, first cousin, she's amazing. Emergency room doctors. The story she's telling me are day after day after day. They say the curve is coming down in New Jersey. We're still seeing tremendous amounts of deaths every day. So I just see there's so many people who are like that man right now, because this is not only gonna cause more death and destruction than that did. It's Rosario. Should I answer it?
Answer it.
Answer it, hold on. Hey, hon, don't say anything. I'm literally on a Zoom call with Manny right now, and there is there
Hi.
there is we're doing a great conversation. So I will say hello, everybody, though.
Hi. Hello, Rosario. How you doing?
Well, how are you?
Your teeth are so white. I need to know your secret. Also, how are your eyebrows so good during quarantine? What are you doing?
I'm just cooking.
You're just cooking.
What are you cooking, hon?
I'm making curry again.
Ooh.
All right. You're making curry while you're missing Cory? I'm sorry.
My baby's quick.
I'm so quick
So
and
are you
corny.
gonna be a little while?
We're going to be probably about another 20 minutes or so. We have our nightly date.
Nice. Oh, I'm sorry for interrupting it.
No, it usually starts at 9 o'clock, but we're pushing it back.
Oh God.
We push it back a lot. Don't feel bad, but she's on California time. She's with her parents, taking care of them and cooking for them and everything.
Nice.
So I love you, honey. I'll call you later on.
All right, my love.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Have fun.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. See you later. Enjoy your curry. So you're a tactile politician.
Yes.
You like to touch and feel politics and the work of it. And
Yeah.
that story clearly demonstrates that. You like to go in your command vehicle, all butch, and see the person who's, projecting the live wire. And I understand that, and I get that. How now we're limited, right? We are having this conversation in your kitchen. How can a politician or a public servant continue to do their work well in a time when we are all forbidden from gathering in person?
So I don't know yet. I don't know how to answer that, because I think that this is a time that calls for prose and poetry. And so the prose I can do. Mitch McConnell has called us back down. Nancy Pelosi listened to medical professionals and did not reassemble the House, because remember, you're bringing thousands of people. They're cleaning the buildings and getting in the building, setting up. Right. She's not, but the Senate's going to come into session because we've got to approve some judges. And so I could get the pros I can get, and I'm going to go down there and battle for this next major COVID package. And but it's the poetry of politics that we need right now. I mean, we need each other. All of us need to be calling for an expansion of the moral imagination of our country, not to return to normal. We cannot return to normal. Normal was massive disparities. Normal was injustices. We want to try to create with a new moral vision. So that part I don't know yet. And that does involve connecting to people. It does involve the sort of whatever the expression of the time is. So I think a lot of us are trying to figure that out. And how do you do that? It's like athletes. How are they going to, the fans and the energy that comes from being in a stadium, that whole magic is gone. I think there's a lot of, we're going to have to reinvent this self. And this is why artists to me are so important right now, is because they can reimagine newer realities in a better way. And so that's what I'm thinking of. I'm challenging my team all the time. Are there ways we could be using social media that we're not? Is there ways that we can talk about something like boring as the census and how important that is in a way that can trigger and ignite? So we're trying to figure it out, and we're all going to feel our way, because this is going to go on for a very long time.
What advice would you give to people who are just so annoyed? I'm asking for a friend, okay?
Yeah.
Someone who is so annoyed sitting in their apartment all day. I mean, obviously anyone who has an apartment or a place to live is privileged in and of themselves, to have shelter, to have a place to live, and to be that's safe and warm. And you have that place, and San Francisco just extended another month. So now it's going to be 2.5 months in your apartment. What would you say to that person that's just like, get me the hell out of here? And they're frustrated.
But it's more than that. Come on, let's just be real. I think this is going to test all of our mental health.
Yeah.
And there will be issues for all of us.
Yeah.
And so the question is, how do you keep yourself well? So, I mean, how transparent am I going to get? So I was
transparent. Let's go.
So I was in a bad way. March was, I didn't deal in my personal energy. I just didn't deal well in March. I had just come back. I would just endorse Biden, come back to the Senate. It's a crisis. We're sending my staff home. My stress is rising. And I fall into all my bad habits. And one of the biggest one is just eating. I just turn to the empty vegan calories and
what is that? What's an empty?
I mean, there's tons of stuff that's like accidentally vegan, like Oreos and
okay.
Yeah, I mean just like junk food.
Okay.
And so by the time we passed the Major CARES Act, which was what a bit of a cluster, and it was just a mosh pit of fighting. And I get in the car, come back to Jersey, and those first days here, I had no patterns to my life. I was, just staying up till 4:00 in the morning, reading, writing, sending off notes, emails, and just descending further and further into my vices. And it got so bad at one point I have like empty Taco Bell wrappers here and wrappers here. I'm just telling you the truth. It was bad.
I know, but I'm like, that's so not right.
It's not right. And you and I think have the same situation. I'm alone. Like my significant other is 3,000 miles away.
Yeah.
And I'm a hugger. I'm a tactile person, as you said. I get energy from human contact. And I was just whipping myself into this work mode with no guardrails at all, no care for my own spirit, no consciousness that I am as human as the next person in my needs. And it took me a while to like snap out of that. And I did it in an interesting way. I did a fast where I just said,
very Jewish of you.
I did a very
Yom Kippur came early for Senator Booker today.
It definitely did, Baruch Hashem. And I started inserting into my schedule like mental health with my friends.
Yeah.
You know what? It started with one of the best calls with two of my childhood friends, and we just laughed about old times. Yeah. And I wasn't as serious. I wasn't taking myself seriously. I was letting them, friends have a way of, tearing you down in maliciously loving ways.
Yes.
Not calling me senator, not giving a damn what my title was. And then I just
they're good for.
Yeah, and I took just discipline in my life. Scheduled sleep, scheduled rest, scheduled meditation, not eating crap, buying. This is going to make you weird. This is the weird stuff that you're going to have. But I just happen to have this right next to me. I'm in my kitchen. That's Brussels.
Yeah, that's great. Do you know how to make it?
I've been experimenting with different ways to make these Brussels sprouts.
It's hard. Actually, Brussels sprouts are hard to make.
They are dense little vegetables.
Soggy if you put too much oil when you roast them, and then they just become like mush.
I'm hardcore, no oils.
No oils. You're just steaming them.
No. I have sort of. I put them in my Instapot. I've been experimenting with new recipes in my Instapot.
Okay.
I've also had.
I don't know what that is. Is that like a pressure cooker?
Yeah, it's like a pressure cooker.
Okay. It's like a Chillin. It's like a. Okay.
Oh, Chillin! Don't say Chillin. I love it. I used to make my friends make me vegan Chillin.
Ew, no, that's not the point of Chillin.
Oh, deep, dense, heavy, warm, just warmth. It is good.
It's good. It is
good.
It is very good. It is comfort food for sure.
It is really but it's healthy comfort food. That's healthy.
Yeah. You know what you should do, and I'm going to take credit.
But this is the difference between for Black folks, like our comfort food, mac and cheese. I could go through the things. Not so healthy. Like when I'm with my mom and I want to just like mac and cheese, candied yams, not all comfort, Black folk, our food is not always, the comfort food is not always necessarily healthy for us. But Jews, you got some good healthy comfort foods there.
Yes. You should do Senator Cory Booker's vegan Chillin recipe.
Oh, wow.
I think it would just go crazy. I think people would make it, and if it was good, then you would gain so much respect.
We should do this. You want to hear something really funny? So Kamala Harris calls me on my birthday, and she calls me on the. I'm in trouble for what I'm about to say because this is her. I'm on her turf. So
Okay.
she and I were talking, and she starts giving me cooking advice. I'm telling her I'm trying to learn to be a better, more versatile cook. Trying to impress Rosario, who's way out cooking me right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so she starts giving me advice on something very basic, cutting an onion. And she has a very way of doing it. It's really dazzled me. It was just like pretty impressive with less tears, chopping and dicing it. And finally she just goes, because we're such good friends, she's just like, oh, let me just put you on FaceTime. You don't mind that I have curlers in my hair.
Yes, I love it.
My sister and I are just literally, she is FaceTiming me through cutting an onion on my birthday.
Amazing.
These are my just like moments where she's just so real. And anyway, so my point to you is, I was thinking when she was doing this, I didn't say this out loud to her, is like, we should have a cooking show, Kamala.
You should totally do that.
She's the cook and teaching me the whatever I call myself, not the most talented man in the world, how to make some kind of dish. And then I could tell her, oh, this is the vegan way to make it,
She inspired me to, I've been trying to crack an egg with one hand like her because she does it like such a ninja. She's really good at it. There's some video footage of her cracking eggs with one hand like it's nothing. And I've been trying to do it. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, she's a multi-talented human being. Let's say that. So
she's amazing.
I made the mistake of telling Rosario this because she is a full-time, all hands on deck, round-the-clock United States Senator. But one day we're having a conversation. She's got this amazing husband named Doug, who's
Real quick pause. Someone fainted at my fundraiser for Kamala Harris. She did a fundraiser at Manny's for Pride.
Yes.
And it was so many people, I overstuffed it, that someone fainted, and Doug caught the fainted lady and pulled her out in the middle of Kamala's speech. Just on that. So I'll tell you a little bit.
That's kind of a makes me like you faint. That's like kind of some heroism stuff. Love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so she's telling me that she goes, oh, and then I come home and I cook for my man, and I'm like, Kamala. I go, you're like going around the world, like world peace. I know your job. I know how difficult and how hard you work. You're telling me you come home and you cook for him as well.
Yeah.
And it must be something where she likes to do it, number one.
Yeah, it must be cathartic for her.
But so I tell Rosario that, and her back gets up. Oh, so she's doing, because Rosario's a pretty hardworking person as well. But I think she thought I was telling her that story as like a nudge.
That she should be cooking for you?
Yeah, which I was not.
No. You should cook for her. You need to get on that. You need to get on that curry recipe and outdo her. But you're not gonna.
First of all, when we do our calls in the evening, it's usually around dinner time for her. So often I'm talking to her while she's cooking. She's way beyond me right now.
I have faith in you, Cory.
I appreciate that, man. Well, if you and I did a cooking show,
it would be great.
It would be really good. Yes. But by the way, do you see what we just are doing here? Like,
what?
There are big issues going on in the world, but we're taking time to be real with each other. It's healthy.
Yes.
You're opening me up more than any interviewer has in months.
Well, I want to try that. I want to try that Chillin. I want to try Cory Booker's vegan Chillin. It could go south. It could be really bad. It would have to be a good recipe.
God willing, B'ezrat Hashem.
B'ezrat Hashem.
Our next Passover is not virtual, and maybe we should do some kind of like we should try to have. And I know it's hard to say in San Francisco, but we should try to have one of the weirdest Seder tables ever created.
Oh, I could totally do that.
I think if we thought creatively.
Oh yeah, between the two of us,
a collection of people.
Yes.
To getting out of Mitzrayim, we could.
I require one drag queen on that table.
I'm a little disappointed that you're settling for one, but okay.
Just a minimum of one. I mean, a minimum of one drag queen at that table in full drag.
That would give me joy.
Okay, I have a question for you that's been on my mind since this started.
Yes.
4 a.m. Cory Booker.
Yes.
Burger King away, but 4 a.m. Cory Booker's in his basement. 4 a.m. What was one what was one kind of light bulb thought that came into your brain in those beginning weeks, in that low point or that deep point that you were in? What was something that hit you?
So I was in a funk.
Yeah,
Right now, I'm having far more inspired thoughts. I'm
but
going.
I'm interested in the funk.
Okay, because I'm going deep in I'm trying to find the poetry of different movements. This is King's Strength of Love. I'm reading a lot of his.
But here's the thing: we know how amazing you are, right? Like Rhodes.
Let's go. Let's get
I'm
funky.
interested in funk, Cory Booker.
Let's get funky.
Okay.
So there's something that I do that I try not to do, but I was going into these rabbit holes of anger and just real why the fuck are we in the worst crisis of our freaking lifetime?
Yeah.
And we have Donald Trump as president. Like, why would God create that? I just don't understand. This is a time, and I'm sorry, I get very emotional, but this is what the rabbit hole I was in is like, I've seen Republican and Democrats rise to, I mean, I'm no fan of Rudy Giuliani's, but in 9/11, his approval ratings were down, but at least in that moment,
Yeah.
he could capture a national spirit. And so at the very time we need a leader, I don't care Republican or Democrat right now,
Yeah.
who could speak to a common cause and common purpose and say, look, America, we're behind. I wouldn't even mind him saying, like, he didn't read his damn national security briefings where he would have known this was coming. But maybe in February he says, you know, look, I'm behind the ball, but we are going to mobilize. We're going to have a World War II type mobilization.
Right. Right.
We are, as a country, we're going to set the global standard.
Yeah.
On how to beat this thing.
We're going to get shit done.
We should have done. And by the way, I'm going to call to the best of America, our ingenuity, our grit, our goodness. And he could have just, his approval ratings could be like you're seeing other world leaders right now.
Yeah.
Australia, New Zealand, conservative and liberal, both are going so high in approval ratings.
Yeah.
Because in a crisis, that's usually made for a great executive.
Right.
And so we've seen dark times, Lincoln, FDR. I could go through when we were at wars, having leaders that rose to the occasion. But this moral universe that we're in, this that I have so much faith in, puts a person that his decisions are literally costing lives. And so this is where I was. That just angers me. It becomes a loop in your head that undermines my own being constructive.
Yeah.
Because I was wrapping myself around that axle as opposed to just asking a constructive question.
Yeah.
Like, what can I do?
So I feel like the 375 or however many million American public has probably gone through some similar version of what you went through. I mean, I didn't do Burger King, but you know, I had my own vices
You didn't try to combine a Whopper and a burrito?
No.
And make something new?
I keep kosher, so I've never gone to those places. It's like sinful. But I think everyone, I'm going to just speak for the entire American public and say, I feel like everyone had that first couple week moment where they wanted to be good, but we kind of had to go through it. There was a transformation that needed to happen.
Yes.
And to emerge from it, hopefully people at this point have emerged from it and grown out of it. And I feel like that has happened to me, and I've gone through multiple stages through this. And I guess my question is, how did you get out of the funk? How did you crawl out of that loop and get to, you know, svelte Cory Booker that we see in front of us today?
Honestly, I'm sitting in a couch with wrapper debris around me, not liking myself. I'm not a negative person, but I was wearing so much negativity, so much stress, so much worry. And I said, this is just not who I am. And so when I said to you before about the fast, I really do think that, and I've talked to great rabbis who've talked about the importance of that. And so you want to hear something crazy? I began the fast, and then I fasted the longest I ever have with just water and coffee, black coffee, for 7 days. And by the end, I felt so alive, so such strength of spirit, such focus and clarity, creativity, energy. And from that point on, I've been back to my feeling I am myself, feeling in a good, not, it's hard to say a good mood when you're dealing with crises, but just up for this challenge. I'm like, I've gone from stewing and in that funk to now bring it. I don't care what you can throw at us, universe. I'm gonna fight you every single day. I'm gonna bring the best that I am.
I love that.
And so I'm much better.
Hey, can I get 5 or so minutes more of your time? Or
yeah, let's go 5 minutes.
It's
It's Rosard basically right now. And
just blame it on me. Just say if you have a bone to pick it with Manny. Because I do wanna eclipse this conversation, and I know a lot of folks have asked questions, and I'm sorry, I'm just having too much fun talking to you. So sorry, but
I just want you to know I love you. I am a fan of yours. I think you are really just a special soul, and you're one of those people that ignites other people to be the best of who they are created to be, because you are so unapologetically yourself. I think you actually you help to liberate other people to be unapologetically themselves as well.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. And it is, as you know, because you and I have talked about this, we all have a personal journey. And I think one of the beauties of coming out, especially coming out in a very conservative environment and against kind of, a lot of kind of up the tide, swimming against the tide, is you have to proclaim yourself and know yourself and say, I love you, even though you're probably not in the right situation, and I want to stick with you. We're talking to ourselves here.
Yeah.
So that allowed me from a very early age to know myself and choose to love who I was and I am. And that's probably where it came from. Can I want to ask, there's a lot of questions. I want to ask one question that has been asked. And it's a lot of people are talking about your run for president and now having run for president, kind of how you would advise Vice President Biden. And so let me just see which version of this I want to ask. Okay. Nick McCarthy. What do you think Joe Biden should be doing more of to demonstrate an alternative option to the lack of leadership Trump is demonstrating? I think that's a good encapsulation question.
Yeah, Vice President Biden has a lot of people around him right now analyzing things and data that I don't even have access to.
Yeah.
I will say that I've watched Trump's poll numbers get worse and worse and worse, having nothing to do with Biden. It's almost like let Trump have all the oxygen he wants right now, because every time he walks out from one of those briefings and says things like sticking light bulbs up your, or ingesting, whatever.
What the hell?
I mean, or the week before that, liberate Virginia, liberate Michigan. I mean,
what the hell?
He is uniquely unqualified for the crisis we're in, and people are seeing it. He is being exposed. The emperor has no clothes, and he's falling in the polls.
Yeah.
And so I think Joe is if people are tuning into that channel, which a lot of us are not, they are seeing him have very good Zooms, very good conversations, substantive analyses, releasing reports. But America's not tuned into that right now.
No.
And he doesn't need to, to like, here I am. Look, I don't think he needs to do that right now.
I just have that flashlight on cue, or like what?
I told you, from Brussels sprouts to flashlights and this. If anybody needs some, I can send you some of this.
Yes, got it ready just in case.
You never know. I actually have a lot of just faith in him right now. I had a very special moment with him. So I flew to Michigan to endorse. This was my last time out and about. And I met with him in Flint. We did something there. Then we just got in the car, two of us in the back seat, just talking.
Nice.
And, you know, I had competed against him. He was also the guy that swore me in.
Yeah.
So I've known Vice President Biden very well, but there was such a gentility about that conversation that we had. And for me, as an ex-gener, I mean, we've seen baby boomers dominate everything, you know, the House Speaker, great, incredible hero that she is, Schumer, who's doing a great job, our president. That generation has been on the stage for a very long time.
Yes.
And so I'm sitting back next to him, you know, ex-millennial generation right behind me. And he had such an incredible situational awareness. I'm not talking about the people around him in the car. I'm talking about this moment in history and what his role was in this moment in history.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, and there was this kind of grace that he was extending in recognition of the talent, the incredible talent that's emerging in America, that he saw these folks that if anything that this presidential election showed, it showed Asian Americans, Black Americans, you know, gay Americans. You can go through the talent that has been revealing itself. The House of Representatives now exploded in 2018 with this richness.
Yes.
And he just seemed to have an awareness that he was the bridge in many ways to a new generation of leadership and a new era of leadership. I believe, and I think he believes too, that's going to be marked by deep, purposeful life. Like, we are here to begin to move this country the next leap forward in fulfilling its unfulfilled promise to all of its people.
Good.
And by the time I got to the end of that trip, I was just like, I felt more comfortable even and more excited about my endorsement of him. There was a soulfulness that he was expressing to me. And by the time I got up on the stage to endorse him, I was hyped and even more hyped. And so I'm okay with where Biden is right now. I have a lot of nervousness about the elections in general, and how, if we're in the second wave at that point in the fall, and all that stuff makes me nervous. But my soul is faithful right now in him and in how this ultimately could turn out.
Okay, before we leave, I have a surprise for you, okay?
Okay.
Hold on 1 second. Okay, so just a caveat. Okay, I went to the store and I to find a candle and I couldn't, so I'm just gonna light a lighter. That's gonna be the candle, hold on. Okay, see that? Right. And I also baked a cake, but I got hungry last night and I ate it. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Senator of New Jersey, Cory Booker.
Oh.
Happy birthday to you.
Oh, man.
Any more? Okay, now blow your candle out. Blow it out. Ah, you did it. Now I'm just going to take a bite in your honor.
Let me see it. What kind of, it looks more like pie than cake.
There's not pie. It's a friand. It's a fancy cake. I made it from Otto Lengi's cookbook, Simple. And then I got really hungry and
I love that you indulged, my friend. You are a beautiful soul. You radiate light. I love that we're in each other's lives. Thank you for this opportunity to have. This was just much needed, I have to say. I enjoyed the conversation. Thank you.
I did too. It's always good to hear and see you. You're amazing. Thank you for fighting for New Jerseyans and everyone, and keep fighting the good fight. And that's
you owe me hugs when we eventually.
I owe you hugs, and you owe me Chillin.
You got.
Right,
we can
night,
talk
Senator.
about that. We can talk about that.
All right, I'm ready for that. I'm ready for that Passover Seder.
Oh, that excites
Paul
me.
needs to be at that dinner table.
Oh, we could try. We could reach out to Rue. We could do that.
Okay, I'm there.
All right. Love you, man.
Thank
Love everybody. Let's continue. Let's be the light in this darkness, please. Please, everybody. Be light workers.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in, and thank you, Senator Cory Booker. Good night, everyone.